I'm so glad to see you here. I'm Danny, and in this box I have a Chanel Classic Flap. Are you ready? And here she is. I bet you didn't expect that, huh? So this is new to me, my Chanel Medium Classic Flap. She is in caviar leather. Her color is deep burgundy and she comes with silver hardware. So this is a 20 series bag. So it's from 2015. Oh, of course I did properly unbox this bag. It came very well wrapped. There was no box. It came in a dust bag and also a lot of bubble wrap around it. So I felt like the bag was properly protected. So I purchased this bag from a shop called Stylish Top, which is a secondhand luxury seller in Melbourne. This bag is used and there is some wear and tear. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to show you some close-ups of the bag so that you can have a look at the wear and tear. I will also share with you the story time as well as the price that I paid for it and give you some mod shots at the end. One of the things I noticed was that the flap is starting to tent, so that's when the flap starts becoming quite pointy, and that's because it's a flat bag, and when you put your weight on the side of the bag it tends to squash the bag. I actually don't remember it to look so pointy in the listing, but I'll go back and have a look. And I also noticed that the flap was slightly crooked. Let me know if you agree. The thing is, the chain is still tucked in here though, so when I pull it out, I'll see if the flap corrects itself. There is some wear and tear on the corner of both flaps, as well as in the four corners of the bag. There is some scratches as well on the CC turn lock, and I have to wonder how on earth people can scratch up a turn lock so badly. But anyway, I know it's a used bag, so I'm actually pretty happy with the condition of the bag. On the inside, it looks really clean. I did check all the pockets for money in case anyone left money behind. And that's a tip from me to you. Every time you buy a new pre-loved bag, go and check it for money. And before you sell a pre-loved bag, go and check it for money, because there was one time I was about to throw out a bag that had $1,000 in it. The inside's very clean. There are some fine scratches on the inner part of the flap. Let me take out this chain to see if the flap corrects itself. Yeah, I think it's corrected itself now. I think it looks straighter, right? Do the quilts line up? I think that looks better than the quilts line up now. So in terms of the story time of this bag, I've had a on and off love affair with the Chanel Classic Flap since 2019. I almost purchased this in 2020, and that was because I had a chance to travel to Melbourne. For those of you who are not aware, I live in Adelaide and there's no Chanel store in Adelaide. So I was traveling to Melbourne at the time and I went to the Chanel store and I was so ready to purchase the Chanel Classic Flap. The specifications that I wanted was a Chanel Classic Flap. I didn't mind which size it was in, whether it was the small, medium or large. Certainly not the jumbo. And I wanted black caviar leather with gold hardware. Unfortunately, on that day there was not that bag in store. There were other lambskin ones and they did have black caviar leather with silver hardware. Of course, I then tried it on as well. And I did talk about it in this video over here, where I only had the intentions of wearing the Chanel Classic Flap as a short shoulder bag because I feel like it looks so elegant and crossbody would look really strange. So when I tried it on, I felt that the strap drop was just way too short and the bag was going too high up into my underarm. And my concern was that I would cause the bag to tent, or I would flatten this flap over here and it gets really pointy and I'm not really into that look. So after that visit, in fact, I decided that I wasn't going to get the Chanel Classic Flap. And instead, at the time, I went across to Dior and purchased my Lady Dior that I still own today. At that time, the Chanel Classic Flap, I still remember, was priced at 7,200 Australian dollars, and I purchased my Dior for about 5,700 Australian dollars. So I actually made like a saving that trip. Woohoo! So for the longest time, I had persuaded myself that I was not ever going to buy a Chanel Classic Flap. Because I was very concerned about causing the flap to tent on the Chanel Classic Flap, I told myself that if I wanted a classic Chanel bag, to go ahead for the Chanel reissue because that comes pre-folded. However, what I learned was that the turn lock is quite annoying. Sometimes it's quite difficult to line up the turn lock in order to close the bag. Irene from Fabulous Irene was saying that she has to get a visual before she can secure that turn lock. So I knew that that would drive me absolutely crazy, so that was out the window too. Fortunately, unfortunately, I was watching a lot of Karis's videos, so LV Lover CC, and she has a lot of classic flaps and she always wears her classic flaps crossbody. And the more I watched her videos, the more I thought, it actually looks really good crossbody. Why did I think that I can't wear it crossbody? And because of the strap length, when you wear this bag crossbody, it actually sits really high, and that's exactly what I love about crossbody bags. I like them sitting around my waist. And on a night out with one of my friends, one of them brought her Chanel Classic Flap out and she allowed me to try it, and I was like, oh, I'm sold. So this was in 2022 when I finally decided that yes, I do want a Chanel classic flap in my collection. And of course, by this time, the price had almost doubled from 2020 when I was about to buy it. It's what, $14,000? And no way would I pay that price for a bag unless it was like a Birkin or a Kelly. That's just in my mind, right? And I honestly don't think that the Chanel Classic Flap is worth its current retail price. So the obvious answer to me was to look on the pre-loved market. Now for its price point, I would say Chanel offers really poor after sales service. They've only recently started offering a spa service for their black classic flaps. So anything in any other color or any other bag, if it's over 5 years old, there's a good chance that Chanel's unable to restore the bag for you. In any case, in the last couple of years, I have discovered that I don't really like black bags, or they're okay, but you know, they don't really make my heart sing. And I do have a number of black Chanel bags already. I didn't want to have so many duplicates in my collection. I gave up on the idea of buying a black classic flap, and I knew I wanted a dark caviar leather just so that if there's any stains or color transfer, it's going to be a whole lot less obvious. And also because Chanel's not going to be able to fix their gold hardware, and Chanel's gold hardware has been known to fade really easily, I decided that I would go for silver hardware instead. And this way, if I follow these rules, I won't have to rely on Chanel after sales service so much. So I was looking online for a dark colored Chanel classic flap. Any dark color. Blue, green, brown, purple, whatever. I was okay with it. And in one of my searches, I typed in burgundy Chanel caviar classic flap, and this one popped up. So it was listed on the Stylish Top website. And to be honest, I've not really heard of this shop. Maybe there was one time I was looking at a Fendi Baby Spy bag on the shop, which I did not actually buy. So I was not familiar with this shop at all. And the price was relatively good. So the list price was 8,700 Australian dollars. And that's a relatively good price for a Chanel classic flap in 2021. Because as I said before, it's about 14,000 Australian dollars. And the classic flaps don't actually hold value. You can easily find Chanel classic flaps on the market for 30% off retail. So I did feel that this was priced really well. In any case, I still felt that it was really expensive because, you know, I had bought my Birkin in 2022 in May. So that was a lot of money. And in general, I was trying to be as good as I can. But at the same time, I did buy a lot of other things as well. If you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of unboxings on my channel. Naughty. Anyway, so I tried my best to hold back because I felt like, okay, look, you like the bag, it's still quite expensive. So I had to set some boundaries for myself. And I decided that if I can increase my investment portfolio by 10%, I could then go ahead and purchase this bag. And I anticipated that I would achieve that in about 4 months from the time I set my goal. And what surprised me was I exceeded my goal. So instead of increasing my investment portfolio by 10%, I actually exceeded that. And instead of achieving it in 4 months, I achieved it in 2 months. I must have worked really hard those months leading up to then. So suddenly it meant that, yes, I was ready to purchase the bag. In any case, even though financially I was ready to purchase the bag, I still felt like, no. Still try and see if you can get a better price for it. It's an Asian instinct. I can't avoid it. So I was trying to think of, okay, how can I get a better price for this bag? And I was thinking of, okay, maybe should I trade in some of my bags? What is my negotiation strategy with the seller? And then what happened was the Chanel price increase in November came, and one of my friends sent me the new price for the Chanel classic flap, and I think it had gone up by 620 Australian dollars, something like 4 to 5%. And I was so concerned that the price of this bag was going to go up as well. And while I was getting ready to buy the bag, I actually went back to the website and read the details a bit more carefully. They had clearly stated that their prices were non-negotiable because they had set the prices, in their opinion, really fairly according to market value and so on and so forth, condition of the bag, blah blah. And then when I saw new prices, I could not check the bag out fast enough. And a few days later, here she is. Isn't that perspective interesting? 1 minute is too expensive, the next minute it's a good price. All because of these price increases and all these marketing tactics that Chanel applies to us. And I just suck it up. So I did pay $8,700 for this bag, and overall I'm relatively pleased with that. I really like this bag. I'm so glad to have her in my collection. I really like the color as well, and I like that she's in silver hardware. The wear and tear don't bother me so much because I know that, you know, I'm kind of gonna inflict that upon the bag myself, and I prefer for someone else to have done it and give me a discount on the bag. With regards to the shopping experience with Stylish Top, I have to say, I did try to contact them a number of times. So I did message them on WhatsApp, which is one of the means of contacting them. And then I also tried to phone them, but then no one picked up. I did leave a message and no one rang me back. They do have a Facebook page, but I wasn't able to look at that because I couldn't remember my own Facebook password. In any case, they also have a YouTube channel, but when I checked, they had not posted a YouTube video in like a year. And they had an Instagram account which was discontinued. So I also Googled reviews of the shop and there was one. I actually relatively impulsively purchased the bag despite all these red flags, but I paid with PayPal. But when I was caught up with FOMO, I just felt like, okay, well, PayPal would just give me my buyer protection that I need, and if anything goes pear-shaped, I could go ahead and get my money back. Now, please don't do what I do and be so careless. In any case, after I paid, I started getting a little bit worried and I wondered whether the shop actually existed. Sure, I got a receipt and so on and so forth, but you know, that can be easily scammed. Like this wave of panic just came over me after I paid for this bag. And fortunately, because Jessie Style is in the industry herself, Jessie Style has worked in a lot of luxury stores herself and also works in luxury consignment stores. I was able to message Jessie and say, hey, this shop is in Melbourne, where Jessie is based. Is it a legit shop? And Jessie responded and said, yes, this shop is completely legit. It's associated with Royal Bag Spa. And oh my gosh, I was so relieved to hear that. The delivery to me was really quick from Melbourne to Adelaide. I paid for the bag on Friday and it arrived at my doorstep on Monday. They did send it via Australia Post Express. The thing is though, I'm not sure about Australia Post in this situation. I feel like I do have a dodgy postman servicing my area, but he just left it at the front door. Fortunately, with my house, you know, there is a spot to hide parcels. There's a spot to sort of make parcels less conspicuous from the road, and you know, I do have quite a high fence. It's not that easy to spot that there's a parcel sitting at the door, but this was just waiting for me at my front door. The thing about that as well, I did leave a message when I paid for the item for the bag to be posted on a Monday because I was more likely going to be home on Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday to receive the bag from the postman. So obviously they did not take my instruction and they just posted it on Friday and it arrived on Monday. I also didn't get any notifications about the item being posted from the shop or any tracking information or anything as such. It just turned up at my door on Monday morning. Seriously, the stupid things that I do for a handbag that I want. Don't be like me. Right now, I'm gonna overlay some mod shots. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you want to support my channel, you can go ahead and give me a super thanks where you can nominate a monetary amount to contribute to the channel. Either way, thank you so much for watching to this part of the video. To watch next, I will suggest this video over here, which is my luxury handbag collection.